All right, welcome back to Waking the People. I'm Chad Everett Brochures, and I am with my co-host, the lovely Josh, like Vanna White. You want to turn the square and tell the world what you got in store for him, Josh?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Waking the People, my patriots, my fellow Americans. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the show. Lots going on, Chad. Lots of talk. We're kind of going to start with that topic today.
Yep.
Kind of the elephant in the room. We're going to come at it with a little bit different angle than everybody else, and for a number of different reasons. So that elephant is obviously the Epstein files.
Yep.
The DOJ released 3 million more files to the public. And right now on social media, it is just an absolute like crazy fest. Like it is. And we've seen this with other topics in the past, people trying to really, I guess the word I could use is take advantage of the viewers and trying to get clicks, trying to get views. Just, I wouldn't say misinformation, but you could calculate it as misinformation because we don't really know any details as far as what's in the emails. There's some emails that have some suspicious things in there, but as far as the actual details, as far as being able to decipher what the real truth is and what is just speculation, it's extremely hard to do that right now. So we're going to come at it at a different angle.
Yeah, the snow globe is shaking up.
Yeah.
Right, and there's a whole lot that's not settled. It's not going to be settled for a long time. There's some downright disgusting things in there. There's all kinds of stuff, right? There's a thing called sensationalism. It's where you put too much sensation into something, or you intend to try to manipulate with sensation to get people's attention. So simple point of this is, from my position of it, look, I want to know what's true and I want to hold people accountable, absolutely. But I'm up to other stuff. And it doesn't mean it's not important, but there's a lot of information in that. And look, if you get distracted by something, or if you put your attention on something, how much of that thing is benefiting your life? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not washing out anything that had to do with Epstein. But I am saying that if you don't put your attention, it's like letting go of the steering wheel because you're watching something as you drive by it. No, it's like keep your hand on the steering wheel, keep looking forward. If you got it in the peripherals, then fantastic. You got it in the peripherals. But for God's sake, don't lose track of what you're doing in your life. No, accountability will be had. These documents aren't going to go anywhere. No, they have been released. It means once they're on the internet, they're available on the internet. Okay. So a whole lot of stuff. There's a significant amount of things that came in 24, 25 that are unsubstantiated claims. The whole thing has way too much in it, and it's not going to do a whole lot of us a whole lot of good to get caught up and try to play tribal politics.
Exactly.
They're both sides. This is not a singular party that has been accused of a lot of things. So exactly. I'm not going to get too involved in it. I'll let the dust settle. I'll let the snow globe settle. And then, we can get into some stuff at that point in time. But for the meantime, I got too much going on. Accountability will be had. I'm not the one that's doing it. And I'm not going to grab a pitchfork to make sure it happens.
Exactly. And I would say, as the viewers, Chad, you guys need to kind of have the same mindset. You have your own life to live. There are plenty of other things that you could be doing personally for yourself to better yourself, instead of spending time reading through what some person on the internet has created. I know there's like AI factions now that will go through all the 3 million files and kind of give you information and give you tidbits. But again, that's exactly what they are. They are tidbits. Yeah. We know what the basis of Epstein is, right? We know what he was. That I think, and until we start seeing the DOJ or actually reopen the investigation and start doing some more investigating as far as who can be incriminated, who could not be incriminated, due process like anything else. Until that point, we're not going to discuss it too much because it's a complete battleground. I mean, you have one side with the satanic cults and blah, 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 and you got the other side saying, let's actually see what's going on. And the war of, if you don't, it's very similar to what happened with Charlie Kirk when the internet kind of exploded as far as like theories and ideas and just a kind of, again, the only thing to really call it is just a bunch of misinformation because we don't know what the actual truth is. So let's wait until we actually see some facts.
So let's put some disclaimers out there. Josh and I are not in the files.
No,
that's not why we have this position. Yes. It's because of studying this. I've been and as I said when we brought the show back, I'm not getting deep in politics
No.
Not like I was before. I mean, I was consuming it. I was dreaming about it. I was everything about it, right? Because I was really upset with 2020 and how that went. So I got passionate about it, and I got ridiculously distracted in my life about it. I was having conversations about politics that had nothing to do with it. Like, what flavored bubble gum do you like? What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ, what's going on? And you mean there's no bubblegum flavor that Trump was wrong? So I'm not going to get dug in like that. Now, I do believe there's a very special place in the all of existence for people that do the shit that we've read about in these files. Believe me, I am one that, look, my property that I have can be lush and green once I bring that wood chipper out and start fertilizing. But I don't have the luxury of that. And I believe that if you take away innocence like that, that there are specific punishments that are best for public display. Exactly. Just so that it is a fair and a very good warning for people that would do such things. So don't get us wrong. We're not in there and trying to be defended. Stay away from the files because Josh and Chad are in them. Yeah, no. Just so you guys know that. I'm just not going to get caught up in it. I'm in the middle of starting another business. I've got a lot of things that are required of my attention. I will pay attention, but I'm not going to get caught up in it. Exactly. So because what I'm working on now, the advertising company that I'm putting together, it takes focus. I'm not going to get distracted on it. I'm going to continue to keep the right path in this because it is necessary to be successful. So with that, we're not going to be delivering a whole lot. Now, maybe later on, we'll come up with something that, so I can talk, if we want to talk about the fact of why people would actually have pursued, dealing with Epstein, that's fine. We can talk about that from the business side. Because what do you know when you start entering into a conversation with somebody of means, what their history is as a whole? Or are you being presented that person actually has skill sets that could help assist you in the process of achieving your goals? I can see a lot of people doing something like that as well. Parties are parties. You hear about a great party, you want to know about it, but if you don't have the full understanding of what the hell that party is, you may end up being on the flight log and then going, I'm never fucking going back there. And I know way too many people that are influential that were involved. And if I say something, I'll lose, it may affect my career. So I'll just stay quiet. Now, do I agree with that? That's cowardice. But look, I can't speak for the people that were involved with it. I can say, though, that you could have been mentioned just simply because there was an interest in what you're up to. No, it was mentioned in the files. Yeah. Because this person's incredibly influential, and Epstein's like, what about this guy? Exactly. And it had nothing to do with it. He was brought up in a conversation with other people. That's why I'm like, get the fuck out of that conversation as best that you can. If you decide you want to get caught up in it, by all means, go ahead. But don't be surprised on the business side when other people start passing you by. Or if the idea that you have right now that could change your life is not acted on because you decided to fill in with the distraction. That's a really good point. And when I say the distraction, justice will come, guys. It's not going to go anywhere. This stuff has been released. It is available, which good on Trump, by the way. Yeah. Good on him, because there's stuff in there that incriminates him. Yeah. But that's 2425. Which is unsubstantiated claims, but they had to add it because they developed a hotline for it. So nothing to look, guys, again, we're not going to get too caught up in it. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it right now, at least not at this moment. But we have other things to talk about. Again, I'm not saying that we should be avoiding anything either. I'm not sticking my head in the sand. There will be a time whenever the punishments come. And I'm okay with the gallows, 100%. Shit, and you put the guillotine together. Make an example so no one ever does this again. Exactly. That's why we were so cruel or did such displays in the past. It's barbaric, but nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. Yeah, you put something like that together, you set a precedent. Now, is there a better way of doing it? I mean, I don't want to see somebody going to Club Fed, like the Gilling Maxwell thing, right? I don't want to see Club Fed in a comfortable existence for the rest of that person's life after doing atrocious things. The death penalty, look, Florida has the death penalty now. Yeah. For people that do things to underage, absolutely, 100% support it. I got a 4-year-old, well, it'll be 4 in a couple of days. And I'll tell you right now, You set a precedent with some things, and I'm more than okay with it.
Exactly.
So, proven true, done. Go with it. So, all right, that's what I have.
Exactly.
For that topic, anyway. But we have other things to talk about.
Yeah, we got some other topics. So just be careful. There's a lot of, everything online is not real. So just kind of keep that in mind. So let's actually let some time go by and then we can kind of discuss it before.
I mean, we got aliens. We can talk about that.
Yeah, we got aliens. That's as a higher base.
By the way, I didn't see any aliens in the Epstein file.
No, I didn't.
Oh man, you know what though? Those tall green bastards. Oh, I'm sorry, the Greys. The Greys. They were probably the ones.
Yeah, they were probably
Oh no, you know what? The reptiles.
Yes, I think I think they were not mentioned just because I haven't looked through it. But again, that side is kind of running with that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they're the ones that are suspicious.
They could be, they could. I think Epstein may have been a lizard person. I guess we'll see how things, how things go down. But there are some real, actual world things that are going on, not only in our state. Actually, this past week, kind of taking effect tomorrow, which is going to be starting in February. I think it's 6, actually. So tomorrow. I don't know when you're watching this. So Florida is actually going to change the driver's license test to be in English only. So that means no translators. It's nothing can assist you. You must take it in English. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to be a U.S. citizen to have a driver's license in the state of Florida. There's a bunch of different ways you can look at this. I know the left will see this as racist and you're attacking immigrants. But there's some legal presence will back this up. So you don't have to be a U.S. citizen to get a driver's license in Florida, but you do have to show proof of legal presence. And the license will expire when the legal presence time limit is up. So that's Florida's driver's license law right now. Really good law.
Yep.
So what does this mean? What does this mean overall? I think it kind of comes at it from a different few angles. The first thing it's going to be a very good long-term immigration policy. This will force people to, one, assimilate to America. If you go, especially Florida can be pretty bad about this. There's certain cities across the state that it's almost like being in a foreign country. You go to Orlando. I've been in several gas stations and
supermarkets
too. They speak Spanish, and the clerk at the counter is like, "Listen, I don't speak Spanish. No one else does." So it's going to make some places that have kind of, and this is very common, make some places assimilate more. So, well, listen, if you want a driver's license, you don't have to get a driver's license, but if you want one, you're going to have to take that test in English. I'll let you kind of see what you think, and I'll get to the next thing.
So a good friend of mine, Vietnamese, he is a first-generation American, born here. His father came from Vietnam. Love the guy to death. He's one of the hardest working men that I've ever met. You know, Johnny.
Okay.
He went to the DMV. He's got 6 kids, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I love that.
Wow.
He's doing the right thing. He's 100% assimilated. He's 100% American. If you heard him on the phone, you would never understand. You would never believe that he is, that he's, he's first, he was born here, but his parents didn't force him to carry accent. They assimilated. They assimilated very well. He's very successful. Great guy. He was at the DMV, and was it 2 weeks ago, I think, they were in and out. It just took him, 20, 30 minutes, whatever. He and I were supposed to meet up earlier this week. It's already set. It's already in effect.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's already in effect because he said he was there and he had one of his other kids that they were getting set up. And there was a multi-hour wait, and they had representatives from the DMV talking to everybody, telling them, if you cannot read or speak English, you need to go home and practice that before you come back to take the test, because you will not pass. Wow. And a lot of them can't even understand English. So they were out there speaking, telling all of these people, go home because you're not going to pass the test. Now, I'm 100% for it. The reason why I'm for it is you have to assimilate. If you don't assimilate into the American culture, you create ghettos. And those ghettos house, and when I say ghettos, I don't mean like the colloquial sense that people say, okay, the ghettos where minorities live, whatever. Now, what I mean is where you have groups, where you have like Polish ghettos, you have Italian ghettos, you have this and that. What it is they have their country, the behaviors that they have, the justice systems, the moral compass, everything about it. If you want to be successful in this country, you've got to play the game this country is set forth to play, which is the capitalist structure. If you want to be successful, You can sit back and complain about it, or you can do like I do, which is learn everything that you possibly can about the system that you're inside of so that you can best achieve your goals. You can set your goals and then achieve them. So if you do not assimilate, you're going to house that. If you're from a third world country that does not abide by the same rules, that's where you see people where we've had cases in California where people were beheaded and somebody's walking around like, what? Like, because that's how they do in their country, and whatever. I'm not specifically stating one, but there was a case in California where somebody's walking around with somebody's head. Because that person felt that it was his woman and he had the right to do whatever he wanted to her, and she was trying to get away from him. So yeah, if you don't know about that one, that happened in I think 22.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
So you have when you start creating this starts eroding the fabric of the American dream.
Exactly.
Because the American dream is assimilate to us, and you can have all of these wonderful things. You can own your own home. Some of these countries you can't own your own home. Or if you do own it, you can't do anything with it, or you don't have the means to do it. Here, you can get ahead. So it's just a matter of how do you want your life to go? Learn the system, work the right direction, assimilate. If you can't, then you got a problem.
Exactly.
Right? And we already have enough people that are taking taxpayer money in order to just live in this country. That means that they're not a net positive to the country. They're a drag on the country. My goal is, and what I'm doing in my life and also with my companies, is to help bring people up. But you have to understand, you have to learn the systems that are necessary to be successful. Just show up and be like, hey, I was told that I could have a house, which, by the way, a lot of them got, but remember where people are going around taking homes?
Yeah, just kind of squatting.
Because of squatters' rights and things like that in specific states. So I can tell you right now, if you're out working your ass off and you see that owning property or owning a home is a financial advantage for you, which is a great financial advantage for a lot of people, and I agree with it, but I also believe in diversifying. Then have somebody, you got a second home, you're using it to rent out because somebody else isn't quite ready to own their own yet. They haven't done what's necessary, which that's part of my goal, is to help people understand and build their life so they can be owners. If they're renting, okay, you're giving them a place to live and they're helping you pay for your property. It works in a symbiotic relationship, unless you get the communist socialist bullshit Democrat belief, which is, you shouldn't own anything additional. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. You nasty, nasty ideologies. God. Anyway, so if you want to get ahead, you have to assimilate. Speak the language of your country. If I were to go to another country and stay there, I promise you, I wouldn't walk around telling everybody they need to demand that they speak English for me.
Exactly.
I'd be like, I also love learning. So I'd be like, all right, well, it looks like I'm learning Dutch, or it looks like I'm going to learn, whatever, German.
And that's another good point, because this is not unique to Florida. Like if you go to Mexico, for example, because the majority of people that the second language, our official language, is English, but the majority of people who speak another language in Florida, especially, is Spanish. So I'm going to use Mexico as an example. If you go to Mexico and if you go to the grocery store, there's no option. You go to self-checkouts and there's English or Spanish. We have here pretty much anywhere you go, as far as supermarkets, gas stations, anytime there's some kind of interaction where you understand and read what the words are on the screen. They don't have that. They don't have an English option. It's only Spanish. If you take your driver's test in Mexico, it's only in English, or excuse me, it's only in Spanish. There's not an option to do that. So we are not singling anyone out. We're just really setting the bar that for some reason over the past decade or so has kind of been lost. And the Chad makes a good point as far as these ghettos, for lack of a better word, they will begin to split from society. You can see that especially in like Miami, Orlando, we already mentioned. So it's not that we're picking on people that speak Spanish predominantly, maybe some other languages as well. It's that everyone else is doing it. Why are we always the ones that can't look out for our own, in the sense of English speaking, multi-language people? I mean, there's a lot of people that come here and they speak multiple languages. I wish I could, but
impressive.
Exactly. I wish I could. If I was in Mexico, if I lived in Mexico, I would feel obligated to learn how to speak Spanish. You can't just walk around and get away with not being able to read and write in the native language of that country. The second thing this is going to do, Chad, which is going to be a very good long-term tool. It's a very smart idea. It comes off as a little excessive, I guess, for you could say the more left-leaning people. But the other thing it's going to do in the long term is it's going to be another legal immigration tool. Because we mentioned once, well, let's say you go and you take the test, you do speak English, but you are, you do have legal presence in the U.S. If you let your legal presence run out, your visa or what have you, and you're still driving around that license and you get pulled over, it's going to be another way for police to actually enforce immigration to expand. That we don't put too much pressure on ICE and DHS. So in the long term, that's going to be another really good angle, especially in Florida, which got a big problem with. That it's going to give law enforcement the tools they need and just an extra boost, you could say, to enforce our legal immigration policies in the state.
Yep. Yeah, just think about how many atrocities that we've seen since certain states are giving CDLs. By the way, CDL is not easy to get. I mean, it's it's not the most challenging thing, but I haven't got it. But I'm certain if I wanted it, I could
talk about that last episode.
Yeah, we have people that have caused horrific accidents because they can't even read the fucking signs. So get out of here with that shit. California, you deserve everything you get. Not Californians, the government of California, the people that are allowing for that. Colorado too. I believe it's probably in multiple blue states.
Yeah.
That have been just giving out CDLs. You bust your ass for a CDL, it's a good job to have.
It is.
So it makes good money. I hope that we actually ban options with certain things when it comes to AI, so we can keep people working, because that's a horrible direction we're headed in if we don't put some regulation on it. As these companies that are all about top dollar, bottom line, they will cut jobs. Right, so hopefully we can keep that thing put in place where these people, they can keep CDLs, we can keep these guys driving. I love Elon Musk for a lot of things that he does. I think he's a brilliant man, but I hope that he understands that we don't need UBI,
and these incidences won't help. The more fatal crashes we have with illegal immigrants, let's say for example, that we've seen in this state, then that's just going to give them another reason to actually implement AI at a faster rate. Say, listen, we have this problem, we need to fix it with X, Y, Z.
Yep, same thing. You increase minimum wage, then you see that robots start going into minimum wage jobs. McDonald's now has fewer people than it did before the minimum wage raise, right? Yes. You've got the kiosks to go touch screen order. By the way, I don't like using those, and I rarely ever do, because I don't like to patronize companies that are taking and cutting jobs. If I see a company's using AI for their advertising, I don't want to use their services because they're cutting jobs. I want people working, and we're not going to fall behind other countries. We will continue, because you also got to keep people busy. Hell, Romans knew that.
Yeah.
So this whole thing where people are like, oh, UBI, no, crime will go through the roof with UBI.
Yeah.
Because people won't have purpose. If you keep people on track with purpose, they're going to. I'm all about work. Maybe it's a Gen X thing. Probably not, though, because the fabric of this country was built off hard work. So when it comes to that, assimilate. Get back to the main point here. It's if you can't speak the language, you don't deserve the privileges that people do. Assimilate to the country. I know quite a few foreigners that have been assimilated, and every single one of them, not one, hates the ICE movement or the immigration policies. They actually want ICE doing it because they took the right steps. They did the tests. They graduated. They became a U.S. citizen, and that was a massive day for them. And they're actually more informed on the United States and our founding and the way our country works than the average person that's native born.
Yeah, definitely. They take a lot of tests, naturalization tests. It's pretty tough. I would actually love to see an experiment on how many native born Americans could pass.
I would love that
test. I think it would be less could pass it than more could pass it.
Yeah,
that the under.
You know what? We could probably just take 10 questions off of it and start going around asking people on the street.
Yeah.
How many would be like, oh God. Yeah. So, but that's how you create patriotic Americans. By the way, you can be a Democrat and patriotic. You just don't see a lot of that anymore. I know that almost felt bad saying, because it's true. You can be, but there's a lot that just became progressive with the guys being a Democrat.
Exactly.
So as far as that goes, let's assimilate. Let's make sure that we're working together. Look, beautiful thing about America, America doesn't have a culture. Yes, we do. Yeah, you live in it. Everybody who comes to this country comes because of our culture.
Exactly.
So people say white people don't have culture. Yes, we do. You're in the fish bowl of it, and you're a fish in the water going, what's water? Look, we love, we as Americans love different cultures. We celebrate different cultures all the time. That's why when people are like, you're appropriating somebody else's culture, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, who taught you to hate yourself?
I know.
Who taught you to hate the fact that you actually have the greatest opportunities on this planet?
Exactly.
We are the beacon of hope for the world.
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of problems, and we're sifting through that, as we mentioned earlier with the Epstein things. But we have the corruption of our government, not saying the current administration. I mean, just historic corruption of our government. It's been going on for a long time. Yeah. So right now, we have a chance to reset that and become that great nation again. We became a great nation. We built up that momentum. It's not just propaganda that we're great. We are great. We were great. We have been great. That's why all these people want to come to our country, because it's the American dream. And if you're sitting at home going, oh, I don't know what the American dream is, time to wake up. Make sure you subscribe to this, because if you haven't.
Exactly. Gotta hit the subscribe button.
Yes, that's what we're doing, is we're waking people up to the fact that you have the best opportunities right now. You always have. And we're going to see a labor shift. And if you're like, I don't like to work hard, well, you're probably going to want to learn to work smarter then.
Yeah,
and it actually takes hard work to learn how to work smart.
Exactly.
You know, reading, educating, that's not easy. You don't just sit around and be like, oh, I read that book. Oh, no big deal. You know, or you go through a college course or whatever, which I'm not the biggest advocate for that right now, just simply because of the corruption.
And kind of how society's going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you send your kid off, spend an untold amount of it, ridiculous amount of money, and then they come back purple hair hating the fact that you even exist.
Or
the great American betrayal.
Yeah, just can't get you a job. So I wonder, this is the last thing we're kind of going to talk about in this subject here. This is kind of a good topic though. So what does this mean for people that live in the state of Florida that do not speak English? So there's going to be a couple things. For our area, where we live in more of an urban area, I think you could see, one, people are going to try to actually learn English. So there's going to be some positives on it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the people that maybe don't want to learn English, maybe they don't want to go in the DMV because of their legal status, I think you could see an increase in people using public transportation, right? So there's going to be less cars. Yeah, less cars on the road. And we have the elephant in the room also in Pinellas County is that we do have a problem with DUIs and illegal immigrants. That it is a thing, you know.
Oh God,
it is a thing.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, it is. It's a real thing. So we could see less cars on the road, but a lot of them, they're driving illegal anyway. And so but again, it's a bonus there. Now, also, we have to think about more rural areas, some areas that maybe aren't as populated as Pinellas County. Let's say Winter Haven, for example, or just some smaller cities that don't have as much public transportation that we have. I think you might see a little more influx in those areas. Maybe people are actually trying to learn English and trying to get the driver's license because it's more necessary.
Yep.
Yeah, and also some jobs require you to have a driver's license. So there's gonna be a pecking order as far as, let's say, before it was much easier to get a driver's license because you have a translator that can do your native language, you can pass the test. Now you don't have that. You aren't willing to put in the time to learn English, which is our native language, then you could see more opportunity in those type of jobs for someone who, let's say, is a native-born American, speaks English, or even someone who immigrated properly and speaks English fluently. You could see them have a leg up as far as some positions that do require a driver's license than before.
Yeah, it's beautiful, by the way. Here's something to keep in mind, too. For some people, their car is the greatest investment they've ever made.
Yeah.
So, and it's sad. And by the way, if that's you, I'm not downing you by any means. Subscribe to this channel. We're going to work you up through this. Yeah. So as far as that goes, some people, that is it. It is an absolute atrocity to have somebody get into an accident, especially whenever it is an illegal that doesn't have any documentation, or whatever, they're an illegal immigrant. They end up in a car accident. They're drunk off their fucking ass, and I've seen this in multiple situations
all the time here.
Who's going to take care of the person that was hit? Now, you've already heard me talking about insurance companies and how they've become one of the biggest scams in the fucking world because of the recent bullshit that a friend of mine went through. Oh, and that's still blood fucking boils over that, because that is it's so wrong. It's corrupt capitalism. So yeah, you got situations like that. You get into an accident. The car is your thing. That's where you're at, the stage of your life. I'm not downing at people that have been there or that are there. I'm not doing that. It's a stepping point for some people. You use what's necessary to get into the car. the savings, the sacrifices necessary, the hustle that you did in order to make money, in order to get the car of your dreams. And then you got some fucking drunk, irresponsible, illegal immigrant slams into you. Now, who's paying for your car? Who's paying for your medical bills? God forbid that you don't get a lifelong injury or worse, right? Or God forbid you do. Sorry. But what do you do in this situation? You can sue your own insurance company if they don't pay out enough money, because we do have uninsured motorists, which is actually, hey, we have to have that in the state of Florida. Fantastic, because that's where you should be paid if somebody's uninsured. The problem is, though, is that we have to pay more because of that in your premium, just so that you can have your insurance coverage. So with that, who's going to cover the bill? Yeah, right. You're going to have your insurance company cover the bill. Guess what? You sue your insurance company. Guess what your premium is going to look like in the future? And your insurance company very likely to drop you. Yes. And that's going to go on your record because somebody else, irresponsible, or somebody else wanted to buy a vote. Fucking Democrats, man. Exactly. And not just Democrats. There's Republicans who do that shit too. Yeah. Call them rhinos. It's a really good point you made, actually. Not only in the sense of, some people, they want the dream car. I've never really been into cars. So, but for the same standpoint, though, we talk a lot about the trades. I would say there's a large proportion of tradesmen, that are in that industry, not picking on anyone, but a lot of them are, they're Hispanic. I wonder, and they put a lot of money in their truck. Their truck is their livelihood, whatever kind of vehicle they have. How that's going to affect that industry moving forward. Let's say their license is expired. I own a construction company, landscaping company. I need to go renew my license, but I don't speak English. I wonder how it's actually, now that we're talking about it, it's a very expanding topic. Layers. It is. There's a lot of layers to it. Positive layers, man. Yeah. So, you have situations. Look, by the way, I have noticed more like Black-owned landscape companies. I've noticed more of all kinds of people. You got the Caucasians with the lights out there working. You see all of this because the illegals are being removed. This is the way. If you guys aren't familiar with what's going on whenever it comes to the trades, there are a lot of trades, specifically when it comes to low margin, like landscape. Landscape's low margin. It's not a high margin business. It is high margin or higher margin when you have all illegal employees. So you start a legitimate company, you have to pay for workman's comp. Okay, you got more than yourself as an employee. You're going to need workman's comp. Workman's comp is you have to pay that in based off of your payroll and the point system that they use to assign the cost based off the industry that you're in. If you're a landscape company and you have one person on the books, you're not even going to pay workman's comp because you're the only employee. Right? So with that. So you have all of these people working for the company, but on the books, it's one person. So you got this person that's trying to make his way, in predominantly men, not to say it's exclusive, but predominantly men in the trades, is trying to make his way. And he's got 5 people that work for him, 4 people or whatever. They're getting paid half of what the average American would be paid. And by the way, when I say average American being paid, people like Americans don't want to work. Americans don't want to work for half of the wage. Exactly. They want to work for the real wage, what you should be paying, which means, therefore, you should be charging. What they did is they said, you know what? In the beginning, whenever it was more legal, people working in the industries, in the trades, they were sitting there working their butts off. And they had people that were like, hey, man, we got to have workman's comp paid. We got to have all of our benefits that are necessary, Social Security, all the things that need to be paid in, right? The overhead that's there, that's required. And they're like, you know what? If I hire this guy, I can pay him half. But I'm gonna pay him in cash. Like, you got any friends that want to work? And all of a sudden, you got a full, you have everybody that's necessary to run the crew, but nobody's going to be making workman comp claims. No, they're going to take their injury and they're going to deal with it. Chop off their fucking hand. They're still going to work. Maybe not that day. Exactly. Go bandage it up. They'll be back next week. Something like that. There's not going to be a claim against your workman's comp. Therefore, you yourself have something specific that would increase your rate, other than the baseline, which is what happens when you start a business. You have a baseline on it. So you have that. They're not going to pay it. They're not paying Social Security. They're cutting all those costs. That goes into their margin bucket. But then the neighboring company does that, or their competitor does it. Next thing you know, the prices start going down because they have margin to do it. They want the work. And before you know it, like, all of these customers are getting better and better prices. Oh, I'll cut your lawn for this. I'll cut your
Mhm.
lawn for that. And before you know it, now you can't run a legitimate business because
Exactly.
you're priced out of the market if you do. They did it to themselves, and it's time for it to be reset. If you were involved in it, get your shit straight and get back to the right numbers. Get back to where you're not doing under the table. If you're paying, by the way, I understand when people want to get paid under the table. Then the term means that they're not being paid taxes. They're not paying tax for everything. They're just being paid cash. That's it. They're
Mhm.
being given cash. The taxes will come out. This is one thing to understand. The business owner will be on payroll.
Mhm.
They will make a payroll deposit onto themselves that will have taxes taken out for them. They pay themselves enough to cash pay everybody else.
Mhm.
And therefore, they're like, I paid my taxes. No, you fucking didn't.
Yeah.
You paid your taxes for your payroll, and you're screwing the American people, but you don't look at it that way.
No.
You look at it going, hey, man, this is the way that this works. You're part of the problem. You've got to get to reset that. We got to get back to the right side. So they have pushed this margin. They destroyed the margin. And now it's even hard for these one-man crews.
Yeah.
That's not one man. It's just one man on the books.
Yeah.
To even make that much of a margin. I've looked at landscape, and it's a very hard industry.
It is. Yeah.
Because there's next to no profit there because of all of the illegal work. If you're paying an American under the table, guess what an American can't buy unless they have the cash to do it? If you're paid under the table, guess what you can't get?
A car.
Financing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
true.
know, unless
Yeah.
it's a buy here, pay here.
Yeah.
You cannot
exactly.
get financing. You have no credit history, or you don't have a pay history. So if I'm paying you cash, you can't go to the bank because you want to buy a house unless you got cash for it.
Exactly.
Then the IRS is going to be like, where'd you get that?
Yeah. Exactly. Wait a second.
So
cash.
screwing everybody over for the immediate moment of like, if there's my pleasure,
Yeah.
I get more money.
Exactly.
Everyone's screwed over in this, and that it will come back where the person that was doing it will also get screwed over. They've screwed themselves over. That's when accountability comes to town.
Exactly. And it could
Yeah.
be like, so think about some of the workers that, let's say, were on landscaping, for example.
Mhm.
Let's say some of them had licenses before, they've expired, they were able to take the test in another language. You know, when push comes to shove, now they got to retake their driver's license test,
Mhm.
and it's in English. What are those business owners going to do? They're going to go around and pick everybody up if they can't, you know, they're going to meet a local site. I see that
Mhm.
sometimes. I can see like they'll drive around like at a Winn-Dixie or what have you, and there are people in the parking lot waiting to get picked up.
Oh, the Home Depot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need two.
Yeah. Well, no, not even just that, but they get picked up not by someone like freelancing, but they get picked up by an actual company because none of them can have driver's license. So I think you're probably going to see a lot of that
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah.
Really good topic. A lot of layers to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all positive for Americans. It's all positive for citizens. It's all positive people doing the right thing. Because when we do the right thing, people are like, well, the rich don't pay their taxes. Holy shit, open your fucking mind.
Yeah, they pay most of it.
Because
really.
you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay? Lots of taxes paid. It's the people at the bottom and it's the people in the middle running this type of scam, because that's what it really is. It's scamming the government.
Yeah.
Because the government's there to take their taxes. I got to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
Josh has got to pay them.
Unfortunately.
You know, these large companies that we work for, if you are working for one, they got to pay the taxes. So we got to get past this nonsense.
Yeah.
So also, here's the thing also that I want to mention, and I mentioned it before, people that are hooked on the margins, if you can't break yourself of that, and it's like heroin, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a buddy of mine that he just can't get past the idea. He can't. And he's been working in a 60% margin.
Yeah. You told me some of the numbers, and some of the numbers.
Jesus
are
Christ.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, 60% margin. The guy's making money hand over fist doing renovations. When I'm like, you got to get legit, dude. You need to get legit. His father or stepfather was running the business before, paid everybody in cash. He was complaining to me and asking me for advice and guidance. And this is where I started finding out how he was running the business and how his father was running it. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to get straight. You need to come to Jesus is what you need to do, right? You need to come to the American Jesus, right? You know, capitalist Jesus on this and get your shit straight. So, yeah, and when I talked to him about it, like the last time I had a passionate conversation with him about it, and I'm like, look, man, you need to get this stuff straight because it's coming. Accountability is coming.
Chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah.
Not too long.
You're going to have people show up on job sites. Your competition will call on you. You know, if they see you're running illegal labor and your competitor is switched over, is doing the right thing, and they find out that you're doing the wrong thing, ICE is coming,
Yeah.
but ICE ain't going to be by itself.
No.
They'll come and take your workers.
Gets in office. If James Fishback gets in office, the chickens are coming home.
Yeah.
It's
So with that, margins, if you're used to that, look, you aren't going to get those same margins. You're going to get less. Now, for him, he would have come in around 25, 30% on his margins, which is actually where it should be.
that's still a decent living.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't like it almost looked like fear in his eyes when I told him.
Really?
I'm like, dude, you're still going to make a good living. This is the guy that made like $40,000 after all cost in. Had $40,000 from one month.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
A couple of jobs.
Yeah.
But within 1 month, he had $40,000 surplus. So, and then he's like, he just lost his fucking mind.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, now I got to go work for somebody else because it dried up, and he didn't do what he needed to do, which is reinvest back in the company. So he just fucked off, really. So yeah, and that fear in his eyes when I told him you need to get right. I'm like, all right, well, if you need to have the IRS come to the door, I-9s, by the way, you can get some serious trouble on I-9 violations. That's legal, or if you have somebody working for you, you're just verifying that they're legal to work in the country. Whether that's a citizen or if they're, they're here on a green card,
legal presence,
work visas or something. So yeah. So anyway, all right, I got a lot to say about it, but we're not going to eat up the whole show on that.
Yeah, it's a good topic, really good topic. Yeah. We'll swing back to it once things kind of develop more. Second topic, a little more, a little lighthearted. I know Chad doesn't, not too much of a sports fan, but he respects sports in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. It's a very local topic. So this has been in the talks for a long time. We got the Tampa Bay Rays. They're recently sold to new ownership. And there's been this ongoing debate as far as, I don't know if you've ever been to the Trop. Have you been to the Trop before? Tropicana Field down in St. Pete? Yeah. Tropicana Field, I love Tropicana Field. But it's really putting lipstick on the pig. It's an old stadium. Back in the day, I remember my favorite times at Tropicana Field was like 2018, 2019. They used to do this thing called 7-Eleven Fridays. So you could go to any 7-Eleven gas station, and you could get $7.11 tickets to Rays games on Friday nights. So they did that. Also, they had $5 beers on Friday nights for $7. Oh, dude, it was.
That's not even theme park prices.
It was the best, man. It was. I went to a game probably every Friday night during that time.
That's bar.
That's
the
bar
awesome.
Price, man. It was amazing.
That's like hole the wall bar price.
It's the best.
That's awesome.
And, COVID had to fuck it up. Thanks, COVID. But anyway, so that was kind of there. And then ever since then, ticket prices have kind of started to go up, and viewership. Even though the team has been playing pretty well the last 8 years or so. It's just people have not been going to Tropicana Field more, and there's been a lot of debate in St. Pete as far as where Tropicana Field is located. There's some places around there, but it's not that kind of new age of baseball stadium that we see growing across the country, where it's really an attraction year round. Tropicana Field's not that way. So the ownership in the Rays have been wanting to make a new stadium and turn it into a destination essentially for the city. So they are pursuing a $2.3 billion stadium project at the 113-acre Hillsborough Community College Dale Mabry campus in Tampa. So very near Tropicana Field, Steinberger Field, kind of already, I guess you could say, minus Amalie Arena, kind of the sports center of Tampa. And some of their goals are that the target opening date is going to be 2029. It's supported by state officials. The approximate site is near Raymond James, like I stated before, and features a mixed development, about 50% minimum funding for the team. So there's a couple of good layers to this too. Overall, I think it's going to be, what does this mean for business in the area? That was the first question I asked myself. And overall, there's going to be some restaurants in there. So we're going to see job opportunities going into just for hospitality.
Yep.
There's going to be construction. They haven't really said who's going to get the construction gig. I'll know that's going to be, just a large conglomerate that does, which I'm sure most of it will be. But some of the other things, like if they plan to build apartments, which I think is also an idea, building there. So you could see an influx in the economy as far as just jobs to develop it. But I really like to see, as a so I got plenty more to talk about on it. But I'd like to see from your standpoint, Chad, as a non-sports fan, how you view something like this that's really sports-oriented, but not really. It's really a community-oriented event.
Well, that is what the Great American Pastime is supposed to be. We don't even call it that anymore, unfortunately. But it's the Great American Pastime. And it's not just because you go and you watch baseball, because baseball can be pretty boring.
Yes.
In the sense that it's not overstimulated, right? Like the last time I went and watched a hockey game, Lightning. Hockey's one of the ones that I like because look, you can get people duking it out on the ice.
Exactly.
I'll watch boxing, I'll watch MMA, stuff like that. I'm trained in MMA, or at least mixed martial arts, and I enjoy it. I can see good chess players when they play. When it comes to baseball, we've lost a lot of the value because we have a lot of stimulation going on. So will it draw the attention necessary to justify it? The beautiful thing about it is, yes, when the construction's going on, more people are going to get jobs. Hopefully, it's a local construction company. But it all depends. A lot of times those things are done by, this is my buddy. And they give these contracts out to whomever it is that they've already got like prearranged relationships with that may be coming from, somewhere else. I'm not a big fan of the mega companies that are out there, like Halliburton, those types. Because when they come in and they start doing this type of construction, you're going to have, you don't know where they're going. And I prefer to see a mid-size construction, which would not be a mid-size construction. It'd be on the higher end to a large construction company that would be doing this. I'd love to see, like somebody local take that, or something, at least a state level, do the job. So I'd love to see that. It does have a lot of beautiful benefits. I would love to also see, the revitalization to the American pastime. Problems that we have, like I mentioned earlier about like going to a Lightning game, or to hockey, they overdid it. Like I hated it.
It's hard to get into those games.
Oh, I hated it because it's like every time, like the Jumbotron was like the game's going on, and the Jumbotron has got like the last play just playing over it, and then there's all of the lights flashing, and they're way overproduced. I'm sitting there going, I want to have a beer, I want to hang out with my buddies, and I want to watch this game, and I want to sit there and think to myself, I'm sizing up the team. The other team. Like don't mess with my guys, I'll come down. Get me into it like that. I'm not really
community.
But like that, but not to be distracted by the and like all of the sound effects. By the way, I do a pretty good sound effects thing. If you guys want to hire me for that, occasionally I'll do it on the weekends. But anyway, so it's killing itself because it's desperate to try to stay relevant. Now, hockey is doing a better job staying relevant than baseball. But, I don't want to go back to a hockey game now because of it. Which means that they have a net loss in participation because I'm not going to go back. Not one person, but how many people in the stadium that felt that way? What do they need to do? They've done things like with the mascots, doing a lot of playful nonsense. That's helpful, because you just want to be able to appeal to enough people to make them laugh. If they keep the prices low, instead of jumping out, because I think it was like $11 a beer or something like that last time I went to watch the Lightning game. And it's not like you get this massive beer. It's like, dude, this is like going to like some like major theme park, and you're just desperate because you're like, this is for the kids, but I'm going to drink alcohol. And I'm like, I'm taking advantage of factors here. But if they can keep it down at that 7-Eleven type mentality, like $7.11 to a game, that could at least make it less financially threatening. We are in a recovery phase. People are like, oh, the economy is horrible. We're in a recovery phase. We're seeing the pendulum turn, and it's already been doing it. There's plenty. By the way, the previous administration did everything they could to tank this country, but this one it takes time. It's not like flipping a light switch. So if we can keep the prices low, that'll be significantly helpful. Make it less threatening. So the people that do want to go but just can't justify the cost, I don't want to go pay $11 for a beer and play $30 or $40 or whatever it's going to cost per ticket.
Plus parking and everything else.
Oh yeah. Plus they always have the other issues. The stadium's full of people.
Exactly.
Then it's like, all right, well, the game's almost over. I'm going to leave to try to beat traffic. So hopefully they also work on the parking situation. But if it's going to be in that area, there's not likely going to be a whole lot they can do about fixing it. Because it's down and it's the heart, man.
They have some room to work with there, and I think that's kind of what their long-term goal is. They want this to be a destination year-round, not just for baseball games. They'll have some concerts there. If they do a good job and put some good restaurants in there, It could also help like other sports, like with spring training in Steinberger Field right there. It could help with the Buccaneers Stadium during football games. People could go there depending on what the actual it's close to Raymond James. You could even park at the stadium and go there to have something if you don't want to tailgate. So that's some other things. Housing, just to get another reason for people to come to our great city. Also, the other big debate, Chad, is I was kind of on the side of wanting to keep it in St. Pete. We both live in Pinellas County, so it's kind of cool having a major league team in your own county, let alone your own area. It's only about a 20-minute drive from here. I think it's still probably about a 25-minute drive to where it is. But I guess the debate was, where are people going to come from? With it being in St. Pete, with Hillsborough County is so giant. It's a really big county. You got a lot of other counties up there that would probably more likely go to a game for the Rays if it was in Tampa, as opposed to, let's say, North Hillsborough, North Pasco, driving all the way down to St. Pete, crossing the bridge, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the demographic's going to miss too much of like Sarasota, Bradenton, that area down there. So that was kind of the other debate as far as where actually people are going to come from at the majority to, if you open a new stadium, you want asses and seats, right? That's going to be the big thing. So I think that's why they kind of decided on that there.
Yeah, the newness effect. Now, they only last so long.
Yes, that's
so
true.
They've got to bait it properly. They got to get the hook set and keep people going back. We will likely see a lot more people doing things out in public, things like that, because people are going to have more discretionary income in the very near future, just simply because as long as you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
If you're not doing the right things, you're going to complain to people that actually do the right things with their discretionary income. You cheated. Stupid ass socialist and communist nonsense. Anyway, but we're going to have more discretionary income, which means we're going to have people going to these things. I would love to see them do something like a city walk type thing or whatever to just give like, hey, there's all of these wonderful things you're going to pass as you go in, or you can park in this particular parking structure, and on your way in, if you get there early, make an evening of it before the game, or make a day of something, and you go and enjoy it. So you got, the bistros and everything else, where you just go and sit and watch people walk by. I love that stuff.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Absolutely.
We've talked about Epstein. We're not going to be on that subject, but it's just an example. People have too much time on their hands. People need to disconnect and actually get out in the world again.
Oh my God.
And this could be a great opportunity, and kind of similar to Hyde Park.
Touch grass,
Hyde Park, touch grass, yeah. And then also the restaurants, and I'm guessing maybe if they do some housing developments, some like condos, you might be able to see kind of the smaller construction companies get to jump in that aspect as far as making those, and at least from like a base trade, like let's say the masonry work or the plumbing, or you kind of get to see that spread off. Maybe not the stadium itself, but I completely agree. I think our community needs more community. We need more getting outside.
Well,
and interacting.
We had like, especially during the whole George Floyd bullshit and all of that, we had down in St. Pete, we had protesters showing up and ruining people's evenings.
Oh, I remember. I was down there. I had to leave.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
You had protesters showing up and messing with people. Someone went down, sat down at people's tables,
eating outside.
Food,
yeah.
All of that. And I'm like, I would absolutely knock them the fuck out.
You have to.
Out at a nice dinner, and then all of a sudden that stupid shit goes down. So here's what I propose. So what I propose is this. Let's get a lot of the fathers that have extra time on their hands, or like that want to do some community service, or maybe we can even make this a for-profit thing, and we have them just going around with leather belts. So whenever the kids that are adults show up and they start acting a fool, they get the discipline they missed when they were young, like straight over the knee. I'll do it, like straight over the knee. And then, let's give you the belt, just a spanking, just a quick one, right? Just enough to make you go, I'm sorry. And be like, I love you. I understand you're sorry. Sit down and I'll get you a chocolate milk. Let's do that. I'm all right with it. Get the fathers back. Let's make fathers great again.
Yeah.
So you got people that want to act out like they did down in St. Pete, or that guy that was chimping out over at the where we were at. I guarantee if his dad would have taken the belt to his little ass whenever he was little, and actually disciplined him properly, he would have been acting a fucking fool.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody came in at the place that Josh and I were at and decided that he was going to threaten the bartenter, and told her he'd knock her the fuck out.
Young girl, like
a beautiful young girl, little tiny thing. She just like great personality, and he's like just overbearing, and the whole fucking bar stopped.
Yeah, the whole place
to pay attention to this guy being a fucking idiot.
Yeah. but there was some good out of it. You
Oh,
could
yeah.
tell that everyone in that place,
Yeah.
at least the men that were in there, if something popped up,
Yep.
this guy
Yep.
was not going to be in a good spot. Like
Yeah.
it was not.
He left for a good reason.
Yeah, he did, which is good to see because
Yeah.
you know the example of St. Pete.
Mhm.
Sometimes society has to take care of society. That's a
Oh, yeah.
libertarian idea. Is
Yeah.
that society must look out for society, and
Yeah.
we can't always have. You can't just always let people do the wrong thing and you sit
Mhm.
there and record it. You know, like
Yeah.
most people do.
Yeah. Yep. No bystander bullshit. That bar had a bunch of people there
Mhm.
that were ready to go ahead and take out the trash.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
If
I was wearing a belt.
Yeah.
I could have done it. And I'm like, you know what? This guy is starting to cross the line. Okay, he crossed the line and then he left.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Now there's a lot of hindsight stuff that, you know,
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
we all play, but you know, it is good to see that the men were really stepping up.
Exactly.
So, and look, you know, I hope to God that guy finds Jesus.
Yeah. You definitely need some help.
Yeah.
So hopefully, like these areas that they're going to be building in around the new race stadium,
Yeah.
hopefully it goes through. You can see a continuation of that, and I think you already see a lot of that. No, we're kind of like getting off of that topic, not really, but kind of. Just kind of community, looking out for community more, and I think that the more that we have decent people, part of the show, waking the people, we have people waking up and are aware of their community, and also they feel an obligation to protect it, especially when we get these big, you know, stadiums and just structures in general, just people being in society. The more that we can have that, the better these places are going to be overall.
Yeah, we do need to start taking care of things again.
Yeah.
So being respectful is a way of honoring the space that you're in.
Yeah.
So, and we don't have a lot of that, but I'm starting to see it change.
Yeah.
And it gives so much hope for what the future is going to look like, because it started looking really dark. So, you know, it won't be something that's socially accepted. You know, and the thing is, whenever certain behaviors are socially accepted to a certain point, then they start becoming dangerous, because the people that are misbehaving like that, and I know I'm kind of stuck on that part right now, and I'll get off it, I promise. But the people that get into that usually are weak men.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
hence why it was a young girl that was the victim.
His target.
Yeah.
Yep. His target was
not you or I.
No.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen.
Nope. No. And it's not like we were there being threatening. We were just in our conversation,
Yep.
You know, and talking to the other bartenders and other people around us. But, you know, then when we realized what was going on. So being respectful, you know, I hear from a lot of different populations how important respect is, but I don't really see them giving it.
Yeah, exactly.
So be respectful. You disrespect me. I'm like, when was the last time you were respectful to somebody?
Exactly. Respect is earned, not given.
Exactly. Yeah, your credit line's very poor.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this going on, let's face it, it's Hillsborough County. Why I went there to those thoughts is because Hillsborough County has a habit of having a bunch of idiots doing stupid things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those people that went down and did the stupid things in St. Pete were St. Pete.
Yeah.
It's a lot of these guys, a lot of these people, they'll travel around. They get together in groups, and then they travel around and they figure out what they're going to target.
Exactly.
Although St. Pete does have a lot of stupidity.
And it's kind of they choose St. Pete because of its politics. Essentially, it's a very liberal place.
They can get away with it easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, you don't really see a whole lot of that in the world.
Probably why you're losing the stadium, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but then again, if you want to Hillsborough,
Yeah,
Hillsborough's also
not that much better.
not great.
Yeah.
But that's all right. You know, look, we can have great mayors that are, you know, it could be a blue state or a blue city, not blue state, but a blue city for a while, and have, you know, a Republican get in and fix it.
Exactly.
Giuliani proved it.
Yeah.
Giuliani did it.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome
Yeah.
job in New York.
Yeah. Even our own county, you know, we were a blue county, but last year Anna Polina Luna,
Yeah.
now a red county.
Oh, she's badass.
Yeah, and you see some improvements overall. I mean,
Yeah.
I much prefer Pinellas County over Hillsborough personally.
Yep.
The
Same.
downsides, but
Same. I don't like the city.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
So this could be a good way to, because Tampa's kind of weird. You know, you have City Walk, which is beautiful,
Mhm.
but it's spread out. You don't have like a lot of things, and like you have to get in the car and drive. You know,
Yeah.
so this would be a good little input to where now you can connect. Pretty soon we're gonna have spring training going on. You can kind of connect, you know, and kind of get around on foot a little bit more, not have the stresses of getting in the car.
Hey, look, I don't give a damn somebody's politics. Let's just get together and have fun again.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get out and actually enjoy life
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And let's enjoy prosperity that we bring on.
Exactly.
No, it's not going to happen to you. You have to create prosperity.
Exactly.
No, so let's get out and do that. Part of that's not just how much money you have in your account. It's how you treat other people and how you're treated.
Exactly.
It's not about, oh, you owe me respect. No, I'm talking like, look, I'm nice to everybody I meet because I give that level of credit. You, by your character, will tell me how I need to understand you. But I'm going to start nice because that's how I want to be received. I start in the way that I'd like to be received. So the golden rule, treat others as you'd like to be treated.
Exactly.
And that's how I start. So if you turn out to be an asshole, yeah, I may take the belt off.
Yeah, you may not get. Yeah, you may not talk to you anymore. You know.
Yeah.
Let's make Florida 2019 again.
Yeah.
You know? Let's do that.
It's been a bad time. Yeah. So, but look, there's a lot that we can do. We're not going to fix the world problems right away. It's a process, but we have to work for the prosperity that we want to see. I want to see everybody successful. Everybody. I don't care where you are in politics. With your political positions. What I want to see is that we can come together again and we can actually talk. We can create together again. Look, I'm going to give this and we can pretty much close up the show here in a second. But Jordan Peterson, beautiful thinker, all that. Not a big fan of him going to the Daily Wire, by the way. I think that was a mistake. But because you see what it did to his career.
You should have never took that Pierce Morgan interview. That was the end.
It was already started before that.
Yeah.
Because once he went over to the Daily Wire, I'm sorry, you can see that he became shadowed. You know, he was in the shadow at that point.
Yeah.
And he's not that guy. He does great out in front of people.
Should have just stuck on
but he's just and I love that guy. He's such a good
He's
guy.
a very monumental figure as far as society, especially for men at that time. I mean,
we need to get him. We need to make Jordan Peterson great again.
Yeah. He did a lot. I mean,
but I love the guy. I really do. I have a very solid piece of my heart for that guy. He's such a beautiful human being. But anyway, so this is the way that I look at it. In psychology, you have conservative thinking and you have it's liberal thinking, but how they're actually in psychology, it's not the political thing that we have. So conservative thinking is very structure oriented, and they base a lot of the past in their present when it comes to things. And in business, you want to have that because it creates stability, because you've had the lessons that have been taught over time. That's a very good thing for conservative thinking in the psychology. So in the business world, beautiful. On the liberal side in psychology, you have open-mindedness. You can be too open-minded, which is unfortunate what we have with politics in a lot of ways, where it's all hypothetical, which is the progressive position. It'll all be utopia if we do this. Yeah, I don't think those people really mean that in the political position.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
But so to get back to my point here, the computer's giving us a little conversation. Now, to bring us all together, what happens with the open-minded, they're innovators. And they're really good at innovating so that we can actually move things forward. They come up with solutions to challenges. I'm a solution-oriented person, so I've got a lot of open-minded thinking when it comes to that. So when you put a conservative thinking and a liberal thinking people in the psychology of it in a business setting, they usually do incredibly well together as long as the politics don't come in. Keep that shit out of your business. Keep it the psychology of it. So the innovator, the open-minded person, will create some great ideas. They're horrible at follow through, but they're really good. They have great ideas. Horrible at follow through. Conservatives are excellent at follow through, but they're not good at thinking outside the box. When it comes out, I'm not saying it's exclusive and never great ideas, nor that liberals never follow through. I'm not saying that necessarily, but when you put those two together and you create a marriage in a business, that's why a lot of times you see people that really work well. Was it Steve Jobs and what the hell is the other guy's name? Tim Cook. Thank you. Similar with them in the way that they thought. That's why you didn't see a whole lot of innovation after Steve Jobs died. So, and a lot of the repeat stuff, because Tim Cook is not an innovator like Steve Jobs was. But the two of them together brought what they did to absolute an empire. Beautiful thing they did together. So if we're going to bring this thing back and right this ship, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to get back to the point that we don't let politics divide us. Turn your fucking TV off. Stop tapping into the things that tell you you need to be righteous, and get back to the I didn't see it that way. Help me understand that a little bit more. Like Jordan Peterson talks about, because he's the one that he brought more of that into my world. I did study psychology in college as well, but I resonate with Jordan Peterson quite a bit. Yeah, so if we're going to write this thing, this is what we need to do it. Let's get to the point. We stop with the righteousness. Let's get back to let's create something beautiful together. That's what my company does anyway, is work with people to help build them up and they develop them. And that's the projection and the trajectory that the company's in now, is we're finding people that have beautiful ideas or great ideas. They just don't have the back end or the business sense to do it, and help them get a platform or a place to start. And the safety of, okay, this is how it all works. Good mentorship and guidance, build something great together.
Exactly.
You know, I stand for that. That's what I'm out for. I don't give a damn where you're at in politics. Just don't bring that shit into my world, because I'm an independent, but I will tell you where I land. But I really rather not get into that stuff as much as I'd rather get into, what do you want to accomplish? Let's do it together.
Exactly.
So earlier, Josh had said something about, well, that's racist whenever he's talking about driver's licenses and all that. And I'd said, give a fuck. You know, it's because I'm just done with it. The whole racism thing, that is a divisive statement. It is intended to divide people. It is intended to create the right group and the wrong group. I don't care. If you're racist, I don't care. I don't care. What I care about is who you are as a person. Is if you don't like somebody, you probably had some experiences that led you to that. You're not likely just going, oh, I don't like them because they just look different than me. Probably had some bad experiences.
Yeah.
You probably were abused. You probably were taken advantage of. You know, whatever it is. If you just have that inborn prejudice, you know what? I'd rather know you're an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine. You can be an asshole, and you can still work in society.
Yeah.
You're just going to have a limitation to where you can go, because not a lot of people are going to want to work with you.
Exactly.
Unless you're really good at producing, then people will look past it and be like, I don't care, the person works, man.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, that's my thing. So when it comes to this whole racist thing, I scoff at it now. Like, oh, that's racist. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's just a weaponized term.
It absolutely is. It's no longer
facts over fiction.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, I don't give a damn. My previous job, I had 130 plus employees. The majority of them were black men. I don't care. There's so many good guys that I worked with. Like, I felt at home with so many of those guys.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit. When they started talking racism about somebody else, though, I shut them down.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that person said that word. How often do you say that word?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, there's a privileged class here.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? It's like, get people to understand that's actually how you divide yourself from success.
Yeah. Character
Learn
over
to work with
color.
people.
Yeah. Character over color.
Character over color. Absolutely. So as far as that goes, that's what I got for today.
Yeah.
Anything in closing, big guy?
No, as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, let us know what you think about the comment. We got the email down in the description. And go have a great weekend. Stay informed, stay motivated, stay focused.
Great.
Yeah, stay great.
Yeah, let's create that great. Let's stay it. Let's keep it. Yeah. So let's build something together. Let's create this beautiful future. Right now, we got the best opportunities. Don't give a damn what your nationality is. Do it all the right way, and we're all in the same boat.
Exactly.
So, just like my buddy Johnny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, guys, gals, that's it for today. I'm Chad. That's Josh.
See ya.
We'll see you.